Welcome to This Week in the Ring with Daryl Davis, the owner and founder of DMG School of Boxing and Sports Training. This week we'll be discussing cutting weight for competitions. I understand that you have experience with boxing and grappling competitively. Can you explain why fighters go through such great lengths to cut weight?
I would probably begin to say one of the primary reasons why fighters struggle with making weight or cutting weight is because they get too far out of shape or they gain too much weight in between competitions. And as opposed to one of the rules that I like to give here to our coaches, to the fighters, and some of the advice that I like to give to them is stay within 10 pounds, something manageable, so that it becomes a natural part of their training. Cutting weight is a natural part of their training, not the focus of the training.
Could there be side effects if a fighter does not cut weight properly?
Absolutely. You know, some fighters can, and these are some of the things that we've seen. It helps, number one, it hinders your performance right off the bat. Sometimes you can get dehydrated, you know, heart attacks, you know, heart issues, you know, the list goes on and on.
Could there be side effects if a fighter does not cut weight properly?
Absolutely. Things like dizziness, lightheadedness, issues, you know, around the heart, overtraining, you know, faintness, just several things could go wrong when a fighter doesn't cut weight properly and take on extreme measures to do so. Depending on what those extreme measures, they can have a variety of effects. And sometimes we've seen it in various different sports. Some of these people, some of them end up losing their life. What
are some ways to cut weight in a healthy way?
Is number one, you have to, if you have a date set for when you're going to be competing in a competition or any event, your training, because we train on a daily basis, your training needs to follow that type of idea in mind, that you do a little bit every day that's going to eventually get you closer to how you want to perform. And that includes, so that's one part of the training. The other aspect is the nutrition side, is to have a good, clean, healthy diet that allows you to not only cut weight, but also helps you to perform. And if you do those gradual, take on those gradual ideas, then you'll be where you want to be when it's time to perform in a healthy way.
Do you believe the process of cutting weight in boxing is similar to those cutting weight for an MMA fight?
Absolutely. Some of the differences, obviously, with MMA, they're kicking, they're fighting from the ground, they're wrestling, they're grappling, clinching, all of those things like that. But for the most part, the advice is still the same, to report to what I call training camp, which is that season or that period right before your competition, already in shape. And then you can tackle some new ideas, some new techniques relative to that are more sports specific before your competition that enhances your performance from there, and then you get more in competition shape or competition ready from that aspect. But for the most part, a lot of the things that you can do will be similar.
Do you have any bad experiences from cutting weight that you've learned from?
Me personally, no. You know, part of that is because I've been involved in fitness and been studying fitness for a really long time. So I always had a little bit of an idea, and I've always been surrounded by either knowledgeable people or had access to valuable resources that would help me in these areas. But, you know, I've had situations where I've had to instruct fighters as to what to do. Like one big myth is not drinking a lot of water. And I had a guy that was a friend of mine actually, that had a boxing match where he was trying to cut weight by not drinking water, and ended up having a, you know, he wasn't in my camp, but he was a friend of mine I was talking to, he was working from a distance, and he called me and told me I hadn't been drinking water, and I told him, hey, you can't do that, he was like, well, I'm trying to cut weight, and they're telling me. So this was a day or two out before the fight, and then when the fight came, he had a serious situation in the ring where he had to be rushed to the hospital and was in serious condition for a couple days before he was able to rebound from that, recover from that. So that's not really something to play with.
All right, thank you.